100th episode of Label Breakers. Yay, guys, we did it 100 episodes. So here at Label Breakers that we love to learn about the true identity of our Creator, of who He says He is and who He says we are, so that we can break off all the negativity that the world places on us, so that we can live in purpose, on purpose, and with the one who is our purpose. So today, guys, we do have a guest, and it is an honor to have him as our guest. This man has been part of making Label Breakers what it is. He has helped to build the website and our email and our platform and our scheduling and all the things. He is a mentor and a friend, and it is an honor to have him be on here today. He has a couple of big missions that he's doing. What he helped build Label Breakers with is called fast scalability. And I highly recommend that if you have websites, podcasts, email lists, any of the things, ClickFunnels, that you check it out, because he has it all in one done for you. You don't have to piece things together from here and there and everywhere like I used to do. So I highly recommend that you check that out. He is also starting out something that he is going to share with us. I'll let him talk more about that. But with that, I want to bring on with honor Aaron Jennings, and he is going to talk a little bit different not about his labels and how he did it. So he has always seen himself as the hands and feet of Christ. And he has spent most of his life learning how to keep that label and not let the labels that other people have put on him through jobs and circumstances and other things come and attach to him, but that so he can keep walking in the purpose of the hands and feet of Christ. So I am excited today to have you guys meet the one, the only Aaron Jennings.
Hey, Crystal. Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for the intro.
Yeah.
I'll try to live up to the hype.
Oh, I know you can do it. So welcome. So, wow. I love the twist that we're going to talk about today of keeping the label that you have always seen on your life and not letting the other labels come and attach themselves and take over that label. So with that, I turn the floor over to you. We may go back and forth with some discussion, but we would love to hear your story and how you've done that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's always good to shake it up, and I figure the 100th episode is a good time to just make it all, different. So it worked out well. Ever since I was 4 years old, I had a passion for God and a passion for motorcycles. And I was like, I want to race motorcycles, and I love God and I want to do something for God. And for me, that was who I was. And at 14, I got to go to my first ever motocross race and start racing that season. And I remember we were plugged into church. My dad was the director at a youth ministry. And so I was, youth group and stuff through Teens for Christ on Wednesdays. And then we'd go on mission trips and things. I was in church every Sunday. And when I went to my first ever motocross race, the races were on Sundays. And I remember waking up on race morning. We camped there, show up the morning of, and I remember thinking at 14 years old, there's no God here. Like, there was no prayer before the races. There's no Christian banners. There was no gathering, no message. It's Sunday morning. I'm like, there's no God here. This is why I love God and motorcycles. I'm supposed to be here. Wow. I remember thinking that at 14. Wow. And I remember, at 14, it's hard to remember everything, but I remember that. And then I remember talking to somebody in my church and being so excited about this, and them telling me that they thought it was a worldly passion that I needed to let go of because races were on Sundays and I needed to be in church. And I remember at 14 just thinking, who's going to talk to them then? like,
Wow.
like if I don't go out there and I don't do the thing that I felt like I love since I was 4, and I
Mhm.
love that and I love God, if I give that up to go here, why would they give it up? I love God, so that would make sense. But how would we ever get them to give up what they love and come to church when they don't?
Wow. Yeah.
And so I remember at 14 was kind of the first time where it was like a battle, if you will, right? The first time of coming into, oh, here's my purpose. I'm supposed to take it where people aren't.
Mm.
And I remember just kind of walking through that. And I didn't give it up and go to church. We went racing every weekend for the next 10 years.
Wow. Come
I,
on.
I ended up,
Mhm.
everybody told me it was a beginning season. So in your beginning season, just take your time, learn your lessons. Don't worry about winning, just learn. And I remember thinking the pros are who everybody looks up to.
Mm.
If I can become a pro, then everybody will look up to me and I can point to God and it'll make more sense. Nobody
Mm.
cares what a beginner does.
Yeah.
And so I was like on a mission to win. And
Wow.
everybody's like, it's your learning season. Don't worry about it. And I ended up basically having kind of a practice season for the first half of the season. And I won every race from the middle to the end of the season. I swept the whole second half of the first year and I won the championship overall my
Mm.
first year. The
Wow.
next year, I only raced half a year as an amateur and I went pro. So I
Wow.
only had 1 year where I stood out from just like sweeping everything and taking over the beginner class and then moving to pro just 6 months or so later.
Mm.
And it was just that. I had Bible verses on my bike and I had my helmet custom painted with a big guy holding the Bible that said Jesus freak on it. And
Mm.
and people would come to the pits and hang out at my pit area in between because they wanted to talk to me and they wanted to be around me and everything. And I'd leave my helmet out on the table so you could see it, and the bike was decked out. And you start getting sponsors and you start getting that influence that I was after.
Mm.
And it was just like we're supposed to take it to people. Like
Yeah.
I just knew that even young.
Yeah.
And so that to me was always important. You
Mm.
know, I didn't smoke, drink, or do anything growing up. I was like, nope, I'm setting an example. I know who I am. Like I'm the hands and feet. I got to set an
Mhm.
example for people. I
Yeah.
was that kid that parents would go, well, if Aaron's going, you can go. And it wasn't because I was anything special. It was because of the way that I held on to that label. I really thought that I was the hands and feet of Christ. And this is heaven or hell for eternity important,
Mhm.
right? Even young for me, that made sense.
Wow.
And that's what I've held on to.
Mm.
Um, I think from there, I ended up racing, graduating, and graduating high school. Not naturally, I started at 14. So I was pro and had my own business, custom painting helmets before I graduated high school.
Mm.
And then after high school, I moved out of my hometown because I thought, well, there's a really big world out there. And I feel like there's so much more than just growing up in a 1,000 person town and taking over my dad's business. And that's it.
Mm.
I was like, I feel like there's more out there that we're supposed to do and see and everything else. So I moved, and within a couple of years, I found myself in Wichita, Kansas, and I ended up getting on the police department there. And it
Mm.
was more of I should start looking for a career because racing is not going to be my career forever,
Mm.
you know? And I thought, hey, I like adrenaline, fast, stupid stuff, dangerous. I could go get paid for it as a cop.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, in Wichita's, like 500,000 people. Surely they're hiring. And so I went and applied, and I ended up getting on the police department there.
Mm.
And that was kind of I wouldn't say a first time, but I'd had jobs before that, right?
Mm.
And I raced motorcycles and everything else. And people introduce you as Aaron. Like, hey, this is my friend Aaron. When you become a cop, it's, hey, this is Aaron, he's a cop.
Mm.
Like for some reason, we don't do that with all professions, but we do it with like cops and doctors.
Right.
Like, hey,
Right.
this is my friend so and so. He's a doctor. And like,
Right.
why was it important to tell him what I do?
In
But
case you need protection or you're doing gonna do something bad, you need to run away
yeah,
or
exactly.
you need help, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say, at 14 was the first time that I really I saw myself as hands and feet that was supposed to take the message to the people. Like we're
Mm.
supposed to go outside the church and reach people.
Right.
And then as, moving into, I think I was 23-ish when I became a police officer. And now all of a sudden it's Aaron, he's a cop.
Mm,
And so it's kind of that next phase, if you will, right? Now
mhm,
the police department was not where I was supposed to be. I ended up getting married first year, I think, ish on the department.
mm,
And, we had waited till we got married and done everything right. We were in church together and everything else. But 4 months after we got married, she just shut down on me. She quit talking to me,
mm.
and I had no idea what was going on.
Wow.
And so now and naturally, as the type of guy that I am, I didn't become a police officer so I could write tickets to hardworking people on their way to work.
Come on. My
So
husband would love
I,
you for that one.
so right out of the academy, I requested nights on the weekends in the hood.
Mm,
And so I came out of the academy and went straight to nights on the weekends in the hood. I worked 9 at night, 7 in the morning,
wow.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oof.
And it was where I dealt with guns and drugs all night long and car chases and fights and everything else. And it was a good time. I, I, I liked all of it. And I was really good at it because of the adrenaline stuff that I had done growing up. But then, being in that negative environment,
Mm,
right, where you only see the worst of people and
mm,
people are actively trying to kill you at night.
mm,
And then I came home and my wife just refused to talk to me.
mm,
And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Like, Lord, I've been doing what you've asked me to do.
mm.
And I tried for 2 years with her. Like, I
Wow.
would go and I would talk to the pastor at our church, and I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on, this and this and this. She wouldn't go to counseling with me. I was going to counseling. I would talk to the pastor, and then I would try something for 3 months. Like, maybe I'm doing this wrong. And I would try
Mhm,
something to see if I could get a response. And it
mm,
wouldn't get anything. And so I'm like, well, maybe it's this. I'd talk to somebody else. Maybe it's this. And I'd try for 3 months. And then I'd
mm,
try something else for 3 months, and then something else for 3 months. I'd give it enough time to see if it was something I was doing.
mm.
And nothing got a result anyway, worse or better. Just refusing to be together, I guess.
Wow.
And so that started to wear on me from a point of um like, I can't do life this way.
Mhm,
It's like everybody's trying to kill me at night, and then I get home and I get nothing at home, you
mm,
know. I don't even
mhm.
get good conversation or anything at home. And then we hit a time where our department was trying to throw us in jail if we did anything wrong.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like it was at the point where if you drew your gun and shot first to protect yourself, you might go to jail for murder as a
Mm,
police officer who was sent there
wow.
to take care of people.
Mm,
And so it's like I was getting it on the streets, I was getting it at home, I was getting it from my department, and it actually drove me into a depression
mm,
because I was just like, I don't understand what's going on, and no matter what I do, it doesn't change anything.
mm,
Because I couldn't change the way my wife was interacting with me. I couldn't change the way the department was going to do anything. And
mm,
you can't change anybody on the streets. And I was like, I'm not like, there's no point to any of this.
mm.
None of this matters. Like, we're getting nowhere. I'm
Yeah.
just running around all night with no purpose whatsoever. It's
Mm,
like the news throws you under the bus the next day. The department will punish you because of what the news said. So the department looks good. You go
mm.
out the next night, they try to kill you again. You go home and she doesn't care that I'm there. And it was
Wow.
this round and round. And for 2 years, I
Mm,
tried to make it work and everything before I finally was just like, you know what? I don't care. You know
mm,
what? I never went drinking or anything. I'm going drinking. And so
mm,
I just started going out drinking.
mm,
And it was basically that was the only time in my life I really let the world come in
mm,
and really knock me down, you
mm.
know? Because in my head, you're unhappily married for the rest of your life before you ever get divorced. Like, it
Right.
just wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I'm going, so this is the rest of my life.
Mm,
And I
mm.
actually got to the point where I was borderline suicidal. Like, I
Wow.
was picking fights in the hood, turning my back on people, just hoping they'd just get it over with.
Mm,
Like, because this is just stupid. It's just a waste of time and life. There's no point to this.
mm,
And part of me was like, let's get this over with so I don't end up going any farther off the rails.
mm,
And so it was kind of, it was like this really bad time, if you will.
mm,
And I remember sitting in my patrol car one night thinking, I was created for more than this. Like, this is why, it's like, I've always been created for more than this. I've never allowed this stuff. Why am I allowing this now? And I was like, I'm either going to end up dead in an alley somewhere at 25 years old, and that's it. That's the end of this life that I've been given as steward, or I'm going to have to leave her, quit this place, and make a change. And immediately, that was my ego and pride, because I had always been the guy that pointed to God. I'd done everything right. I was that one you could trust. I was the good kid. I didn't drink, smoke, or do anything. I didn't get in trouble. So I'm like, if I leave her for no reason, right? Because she didn't cheat on me or anything. She just refused to be around. I was like, but if I leave her in the eyes of the world for no reason, then I am going to lose my influence as a godly man. Even though I'm like borderline dead in an alley somewhere, right? It's like that felt like my options. And I was really, really mad, because I'm like, I have always put you first, Lord. I'm the hands and feet. Like, I have always pointed to you. And now I have to make the decision to do something like this, or just stay and keep going. Like, I don't know. And I'm not like an advocate for divorce or anything else, but I did lean into God at that time. I had been distant from him for a little while, and I leaned in, and I felt like I had a peace biblically that I was supposed to leave. And so I made the decision of just to leave. And so fast forwarding that, to me, I still feel like I said, I'm not an advocate for divorce. I don't think, oh, just go get divorced, it fixes everything. The Bible does lay out, and it's not just somebody physically cheating on you. There are guidelines for the way a man and a woman are supposed to act in marriage. And she was not doing any of them. And so it's like, I felt like I got this peace and this guidance that it was what I was supposed to do, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like I said, I was not getting along with him well at the time, but I was willing to fight for getting back to that point. And I was willing to take the consequences of my actions. And so, like, I ended up leaving her, getting divorced. And I've asked for forgiveness. I'm like, Lord, if that wasn't you and I just made it all up, I'm sorry for what I've done wrong. It's like, I've forgiven her. I don't hold anything against her or anything else. I didn't during the divorce. I didn't fight with her and make it this and that. It was just fighting for being able to, I guess, impact the world, right? Because I really wanted to be making an impact on the world. And I really felt like we were supposed to be doing something, and everything around me was just dragging me down. So we ended up getting divorced. My now wife, I met her on the police department. We were dating for a year, and then we got married and sold everything, quit the police department, and left the country as full-time missionaries in the month of May 2011.
Wow.
So it was get rid of everything and just completely change everything up. And during that whole process, there's so much that happens during that, right? People then take on new labels of like, well, I'm divorced, or now I have shame, or now I have guilt, or now I have, because the devil's going to go, you can't go be a missionary now. You know what you were doing last year? I was like, you remember the things you were thinking and saying last year? And it's like, some of them are from the world. They go, oh, he left for no reason. He's whatever. Right? The devil tries to make you feel things. The world tries to put things on you. Because of something like that, right? So it's like at 14, it's like, no, you're not supposed to do that. That's a worldly thing. You're chasing your flesh. And then as the cop, it's like, well, now you're a cop. You're not anything else. You're just a cop. And then it's, well, now you're divorced. So now you can't do anything either. And then I'm a missionary.
Wow.
And now you're a missionary. So some people introduce you as, hey, this is my friend Aaron and Andrea. They're missionaries. You get a little bit of that. It's kind of 50-50. But then as soon as you're done doing what they think missionary work is, you're back to being just Aaron again.
Right.
It's like, so I've always held on to, the police department was the only place where I knew that's not where I was supposed to be. And I was not impacting people for Christ. I was actually drugged down by the place and by everything that was going on. And so I made a change to everything. Sold the house, quit the job, and all the stuff, and just left it all behind. And, gave up the retirement and the benefits and all the stuff. I had a big house on 10 acres of land. It was my dream property, right across from Jeep's Motorcycle Club, which was 80 acres of motorcycle tracks that I did not have to maintain.
There you
go play on. It was awesome. I literally rode down my driveway, across the street, and I was at the track.
Wow.
It was my dream place.
Yeah.
And we sold everything and took off doing missions work, because it was just like, we just have to be walking with God. Like, that's what we were created to do. And I just have to get away from all of this.
Yeah.
So fast forwarding on through that, it was, years of
Uh-oh. We go. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you kind of froze for a second, but I think you're good again.
And so we took off doing missions work, and we've moved for every 6 months to 2.5 years for like 14 years.
Wow.
God would move us somewhere else. We lived in different countries, and China and Thailand, and we did disaster relief and all sorts of stuff. And, through that process, it's funny because the world has so many, it doesn't matter what you're doing. The world's going to try to say, this is who you are. This is what you do. Right. As missionaries, we never raised money for anything. We particularly felt like fundraising is not bad. We're fundraising now for what we're doing now, right? Because we're going a lot bigger on what we're doing now. But at the time, we felt like God said go, and so we were supposed to go. And so we weren't fundraising. God said go, we'd pick up and go. We moved to another country. He'd provide as we went. It was crazy cool. I got story after story. You can check those out on the podcast. But we didn't fundraise. And most of the time, we didn't have a lot of money in the bank or anything else. But we always ate out. We traveled everywhere. We did all sorts of fun stuff. Like God just took us places and paid for things. It was cool. Every time we went anywhere, people were like, we want to take you out to lunch. Come with us. We'd love to hear your story. And they'd buy like everything on the menu. Like, man alive, I'm unemployed and homeless, and I'm putting on weight. I was like, God knows how to treat his children.
That's right. Come on.
So anytime we would have extra money, we had extra money come to us, we're like, well, that's odd. We never have extra money. It's obviously not for us. And we'd keep our hands open. And then sure enough, within a month or so, we'd meet somebody, and or we'd be somewhere, and God would say, hey, give it to them. And we're like, that's what it's for. And we just go give it away. And at that time, people would go, well, no. You guys are the missionaries. We're supposed to be helping you. It's another thing of how we think of people.
Right.
Like, you're the missionary. You're broke. I'm supposed to help you. I was like, you can call it broke, but that just means we don't have any money in the bank, but we live better than you do. It's okay. And like, this wasn't ours anyway. God gave it to us to handle and told us to give it to you.
Wow. Yeah.
But there's so many things like that of just moving from one thing to the next in life, right? Because when I start scalability was after we're doing missions work full time, which basically means we're not working on anything else, right? And then I start transitioning into business, right? Where I'm creating systems. I started investing in real estate. I started wholesaling and flipping houses from China in the United States. And then that led to creating systems. I was better at creating systems than I was at real estate even. And so I ended up, transitioning into coaching and streamlining businesses, where I would go into businesses and create systems start to finish and streamline the whole business, get it running right, get the team on par to where it could grow. And then that was the next 4 years. And then I launched the software company, Scalability, so that we had software to go along with the systems. And during that process, people have a tendency to be like, so you're not doing missions anymore? Like, well, now all of a sudden I'm not a missionary anymore. I was like, you realize none of my life has been missionary, cop, or racer or whatever. It's like, I'm hands and feet of Christ. The police department was not very hands and feetish. I definitely was like getting stepped on there. Everywhere else, I've been able to hold on to that hands and feet, where I'm like, no, we're just doing business now. But now I'm reaching the marketplace.
Right.
In Thailand, we're reaching Thailand.
Wow.
In disaster relief, we're reaching people whose houses have just been ripped off the foundation by a tornado
Mm,
or flooded, by a hurricane. It's like, but now we're just in the marketplace. To me, it doesn't change. The purpose is to know God and make him known.
Wow. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
I've done it through, we would do 5-day challenges to bring in coaching clients. And I would do a 5-day challenge. And then basically, hey, if you'd like to work with me one-on-one, here's the link, buy and come in. Well, in my challenge, I start off, I'm like, the whole reason that I do systems is because God's called me to be able to go when he says go. And so I have to be intentional about building a business that does not tie me down to where if God says go, I can't go. Because as hands and feet of Christ, we must be able to go. And when we were doing missions work, so many people we'd hear say, we'd love to do what you're doing, but I have a mortgage, or but my business is X doing this. And I was always kind of rebellious and sarcastic. And so my natural response, me, I know it's hard to believe. And people never believe it, but it's true. It's true. But my response was always, you're right. God can pretty much only provide for singles and married couples as long as they didn't have a house or a job. But if you have a house, I've noticed he can't do stuff like that. And so I'd always get people looking at me like, did he just say that? Yes, I did. You've been challenged. So when I start building businesses, that was important to me. I was like, I do not want to have my blessings become my excuses.
No, that's a good line.
It's like we have to be able to do business from anywhere in the world. So if God says go, we pick up and go. And we don't have to quit working to go be a missionary. And I don't have to quit being a missionary to go work. The hands and feet of Christ work in all of those situations. And it's not about me, it's about pointing people to him anyway. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing work or not doing work. And so we've had 8 years now of building systems for businesses, and then had the software company for 3 years of that, where we have the tools to help build systems. So now we have systems and strategy and software all inside of one place. And now just recently, this last October, so 4 months-ish ago, God said it's time to pick up Watch Missions Live and not put it down this time. And Watch Missions Live, I started about 6 years ago, which was just a podcast, just telling God stories. What's your mission or ministry? How'd you get started? Tell us a God story people would never hear unless they run into you. And throughout the years, God's like, that's what you're supposed to be doing. But it wasn't time, right? I would put it down, I'd pick it up, I'd put it down. We recorded like 33 episodes and never really did a lot with it. Well, this October, God said, pick it up, don't put it down. And then since then, he started bringing the right people. Literally within a week, we had a CFO, and she's been overseeing nonprofits for the IRS for like a decade. She knows what she's doing, And then I just started telling people, I'm like, hey, God said this, and we're going to do it. Just like always, we're going to do what he tells us to do. This is what we're doing. And a buddy of mine's like, bro, you're going to need money for this. Let me help. That's what I do. And he's raised over $800 million to buy real estate with investors. He's like a big real estate investing guy. And he wants to raise money for Watch Missions Live. It's like God immediately started bringing the right people. It's like when God said it was time for this, it was time for this. And I immediately am like, this is what I was made for, to tell God stories. It's like, that's just like dream job. Just go around talking about what God's doing. Like, I would absolutely love that. And when he said, pick it up, that was the first thing I asked for, because he said, pick it up and don't put it down. And then a week later, I wake up and I feel like he said, this is going to be a big deal, like a global thing. And I immediately thought, Lord, that's going to take a lot of money. And that is not a strong suit of mine. Money management and bookkeeping and all that. I hate that stuff. Absolutely hate those things. So I immediately was just
systems guy. But I'm with you on that one. I said that surprised me a little, but I'm with you on that one.
I like building the system, not running the Excel spreadsheets that tracks all the dollars.
Okay.
Like that's not my jam at all. I can create the system in which the bookkeepers and the business runs by, but running it and managing it, I'm not a fan. And so
You're more happy in the season where it was like, "I don't have any money, God, you're taking care of
yeah,
all
well,
of
so much
it."
easier. So much easier. So
Yes.
when he said it was going to be a big deal, that I was like, Lord, we need people then that are money people. I
Yeah.
was like, because that's not my strong suit. It's not my desire. If I get wrapped up doing those things, I'm not going to talk about you as much. I'm going to be stuck
Mhm.
figuring that stuff out. It's like, so bring the people that can steward the money you're going to bring through here to the penny so
Mm,
that we can be fully transparent on everything we're doing and we know it's all taken care of. And
yeah.
it wasn't a week before we got our CFO, and the fundraiser guy was the next day.
Wow.
Margie's the CFO, Stuart was the next day. And it
Wow.
was just like two money people. I'm
Hmm.
like, done. Okay, I'm in. Like, so I get to just tell stories and they get to handle the money side of things. But since then, it's continued to develop. It was just podcast, just telling God stories. Like, we're not going to debate the word of God. I'm not going to argue with you about what the word of God says. There's smarter people out there. There's too much arguing about what it says and doesn't in translations. And honestly, I see that dividing the body of Christ so much
Yeah.
because we're so divided because we can't agree on something that's not a salvation issue anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we all work together, we would reach farther faster.
Mhm.
And so we don't debate the word of God. We tell stories of what he's doing.
Yes.
It's like, what has God done in your life?
Mhm.
When has he provided? When has he healed? When has he done something that you've actively seen a God moving? Right.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm like, let's just talk about what he's doing and let him do what he wants to do.
Mm.
And so we start the podcast, and that's our primary way of like getting out and talking to people and telling stories and building a community, connecting with missionaries around the world. But
Mm.
since then, it's grown into what we're referring to as missions multipliers.
Mm.
And so we'll be doing actually online courses, online communities, and live events where our primary focus is to teach missionaries how to multiply what God's given them.
Mm.
So
Wow.
if God said go start an orphanage in India, missionaries and sending organizations are really good at teaching you how to go talk to people about Jesus
Mm.
and save them.
Mhm.
I have yet to meet anybody who's teaching them how to run the orphanage
Yeah.
or turn that orphanage into a self-sustaining orphanage that could be run by the locals
Mhm.
and then multiplied to the next region and the next town and the next town to where one becomes 3, 5, or 10.
Yeah.
It's like, so what if it didn't have to be Aaron's thing? It didn't have to be a Watch Missions Live thing. If God tells you, go start an orphanage, we want to give you the business and systems and strategy that could take it from Aaron's orphanage to God's orphanages,
Mhm. Wow.
right?
Wow.
Because missionaries are great at going out and doing the work. We did the same thing. It's like, God said, do this, we're going to go do this. The
Mhm.
problem is, a lot of times when you leave, everything just stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
What if it didn't?
Yep.
Right? Like, what if the orphanage you started kept running and then they knew what they were doing and they were able to duplicate it into another one and another one and another one?
Mm.
What if it was one well that you dug that gave clean water, but then what if that turned into one every 3 miles so people never had to walk very far?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if?
Mm.
Like, because that would be a God ministry. And
Mhm.
I personally believe, my interpretation is that if God's given us something, we're not called to just manage it. We're called to multiply it.
Mm.
We're not called to preserve it and keep it the way it is. We're called to multiply it.
Yeah.
And so, with that multiplication in mind, I can start a ministry and I can raise money and I can do a podcast telling God stories, but it'll always be known as Aaron's.
Mm.
Aaron does a podcast telling God stories.
Mhm.
That puts the focus on me, you
Mhm.
know? And I mean, this first came from when we were doing missions work. People would tell me, Aaron, you need to write a book because they love the stories.
Mhm.
And my response was always, if I write a book, my mom will read it and maybe a couple other people, but that's kind of it. It'll be my book about my stories.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to tell my stories. I want to tell God's stories. All of them. Not just mine, but all of them.
Yeah.
And that's really where the podcast even started, was how do we just take all the stories in the world and how do we tell them? And now it's how do we take all of those stories of what all those people are doing? And then how do we take the past 8 years, 9 years of my life where it's been teaching systems, strategy and software and technology to leverage that to multiply for business? How do we teach that to missionaries to where they multiply what God's given them?
Yeah.
So now is, I would say now is like, I really feel like I'm living that purpose. Doesn't mean that I wasn't before. Lots of people have seen me throughout the years as somebody who does what God will ask. But now it's like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like everything up to this point got me ready for the things too.
Yeah.
Right. Like the police department taught me things. The divorce taught me things. All of the missions work where we went around and did stuff taught me things. It taught me the problems in the mission space too. Right. Because we talked to sending organizations and they're like, we can't help you because we knew God said, go to this specific place and help this specific guy with his thing.
Right.
And when you go to a missions organization, they go, we have projects here, here, and here. We can't go over there because that would be a distraction from where God's called them. So I appreciate their focus, right? I'm not mad at them at all. But I started thinking, what about all the people who feel like God's told them to do something and they're trying?
Right.
And they don't fit in a box somewhere.
Right.
Like, I'm really good at not fitting in boxes. So maybe we could create a ministry that can help all the non-box fitters, do what God's called them to do and not have to, if you will, control it in any kind of a way, but just be able to support them with the things they're not able to get somewhere. Because a lot of times we felt like we were just roaming on our own. We were forgotten as soon as we left to go somewhere else.
Right.
And so we got to learn all the different things that happen in the mission space, from us doing the thing and leaving and it quits, right? To not multiplying what God gave us, right? And seeing the why didn't we? What were we lacking or what we were missing, and things like that. And so it's all been good and it's brought us to where we're at. And it's really prepared us now, because now every time we have an idea, we're like, we should build an online community. I'm like, my software will do that. We've been doing that for 3 years. We can do that in an afternoon. Let's do it. It's like, we should do this. I'm like, we've done that. We've done like 100 of those already. No problem. We can knock that out this weekend. Like, we should do a live event. I'm like, I've hosted live events. Let's do it over here. It's like, we're very prepared now.
Yes.
To do what God's given us at a lot higher level, which is obviously it's the time. So,
yeah. Well, I was just thinking when you're talking and like two things, with your talent is, when Jesus does the parable of the talents and what, the master's leaving and he gives 1 talent, 5 talent, 10 talent, and what they do with that, and to multiply the talent. The one that buried it to keep it safe, was like, no, you wicked servant. You shouldn't have done that. You need to do something with it and multiply it. And then lately, a lot of people have been talking about multiplication and how God is a God of multiplication. It's not just addition, 1 + 1 = 1, but like 1 × 1, 10 × 10, 100 × 100. Like with each multiplication, it grows more and more. And so I love, that's what you're saying and what you're doing now. And for your whole life story, I mean, how many how many of us have 4? 4. I mean, I see my grandkids now and even my kids, I see them more, and they're getting their purpose sooner than like we did. Like I mean, I think I saw it when I was young, but I got distracted. I got a lot of labels. That's why I wrote the book. That I did let it touch me and kind of drag me away for a while, but that we can step that in, like now, like my grandkids. Like I speak life in them. I speak to their dreams. I speak to who they are right now because you knew at 4 and you loved motorcycles. I mean, I, God is a fun God. He's fun. He loves to have fun.
Mhm.
And that he put that in you. And then to continue on and know, where the fun, you kept it going, at 14 and growing. And yeah, like your story is just, thank you for sharing. It's so inspiring to hear. And even when we walk off the path for a little bit, like, we can turn our eyes and go in our own might for a while, and it gets hard and it gets ugly. But I loved what you said. What you did is that you leaned in. Like you didn't, I mean, even that's the story of David, right? I mean, David is known as a man after God's own heart. But if you really read the story of David, he was a pretty wild and crazy and did some things that weren't very godly with
I
his.
had some David conversations.
You what?
I had some David conversations with God where I was crying out mad.
I'm sure
Like,
you
I
did.
don't understand.
I'm sure you did.
I'm
But
here to talk to you. Talk to me.
one thing is, that's what he did. Like he would cry out, but then he would say, "Create in me a clean heart," right? Like he would turn and he would be like, "Okay, like I'm leaning it all out to you, but I really do love you. I really do want to serve you. I really do want to
Mhm,
live into you." And that's why he was a man after God's own heart, because
mhm.
even in all the ugliness, he leaned in. He didn't pull back. He pulled back for a few seasons, like, but he leaned in mostly.
Yeah.
And that is, I mean, that's your story, and it's powerful. And I've known you for the last few years, and just the joy that we have when we talk, and the stories that you share, and also your wisdom, of helping what you've helped create for me, and your weekly wisdom when I get on there and and listen, but that we can also share stories and share encouragement, and like share sarcasm.
Yep. Yep. Have a little razzing, have a little fun.
That's right.
You know
So
going back to the parable of talents you mentioned, um, I've thought about that story so many times because it was rewarded, recognized and rewarded the multiplication. But when I was growing up, it's like these two multiplied, this person didn't. And that was kind of the end of the story.
mm,
I'm like, but what I like to remind people of is it was not just well, you tried and you're okay. It was cast him out, you wicked and lazy servant. Like if you don't multiply, to me, the story says, if you don't multiply, you're going to be cast out. Like he wants you to be doing something.
right.
And I've always looked at it that way. I personally look at it and I go, okay, well, he's giving me this. And that's one of those debate stories, right? Some people go, well, they were talking about talents. Some people go, no, it was finances. See, I don't care about the debate of what the word says,
Right.
right? Whichever way you look at it, the purpose still remains of you're called to multiply it. So if it's your personal talents, how are we multiplying them? If it's your money, okay, how are we multiplying it? Because the point he's trying to get across is I've given you something and I want you to do good with it and multiply it for my glory. And I've always just seen that as like everything that I have, I need to figure out how to multiply it. I've tried to do that myself and I've figured out like, why have I had problems? These are the things that I was lacking. Okay, how do we provide those to the hands and feet of Christ all around the world that are lacking those things? But then God's a God of order too. Everything he did was orderly. And there's a verse that even says, I don't know what the verse is. I kind of paraphrase instead of quote exact verses, but there's a verse that says, let everything be done in order, right? and you watch, like, as he does creation, there's an order to the way that he set things up. I like to joke. I think I heard this from Myron Golden. I loved it. It was jokey. It was kind of funny to me because, God created for 6 days and then he set everything on automation and he's not created and everything just runs. Like the moon and the sun does the thing, the stars do the thing, nature does its thing. Everything's just set on automation. I'm like, how do we do that? Oh, we were supposed to create and automate and then go spend our time actually doing what God's called us to do, not answering emails.
Well, so one thing, like two things I want to say about that. One is he set it in order, and I love that it runs. But also I love that he's a God that says, I set this in order, but you know what? You can change it. Like you can stop the order. There's times they stop time. There's times he walked on water. He is a God of order, but he can do so much more too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he can do so much more with them. So I love that there's both. And then back to the talent thing. I think another thing, like he was showing me in that, is your heart posture matters so much, because the one servant and who we know our Papa, our Creator to be, because when he's a good God and he loves you and his every thought is for you and that he is rooting for you, he's on your side, you're in him, he's in you. When you know that he is good and you believe that in your heart that he is good and you're not afraid of him, you want to, just like you want to honor him in every part of your life. Like he gives you something, you want to multiply, you want to give back more to him than he gives you because he's good and you know it. And just like, we do for our own children. Our children, if you're a good parent, they want to honor you too. They like give back to you as they get older, or even when they're young. But when you don't believe maybe in your heart that he's good, like you're afraid, like he's a strict master, I'm afraid to do anything. So you're lazy or you don't want to, like your heart posture is not in the right space, then you're not going to do anything with that talent that he's given you. So, our heart posture and our identity of who we know he is makes a big difference in the multiplication of our talents, I think.
Yep. And just kind of, I know we're coming to the end, but so just kind of wrapping up the label breakers thing. It's like labels, as we've mentioned, labels can be on either side.
Yeah.
I've been driven by a label my whole life. I don't feel like it was given to me by people though.
Absolutely.
I feel like my label has always been, I'm the hands and feet of Christ.
Yes.
And so because of that, it has driven my actions, which if you look at it, your labels are good or bad, and they are driving what you do. Yeah. Because I've, since we've been in Texas, I've been placed in leadership before I was eligible to be a leader. And I'm like, oh, I'm the hands and feet of Christ. He told me to come here, whatever he needs, I'll clean the toilets or lead. I don't really care. I'm the hands and feet, not the mind, which means I don't get to make the decisions. I do what I'm told. And so I'm like, I told him, I'm like, okay, if that's where you need me, I'm here to serve. Like God told me to be here. God put me here. So whatever you need. Yeah. And then this year, as God said, start Watch Missions Live, I was removed from leadership. And, they felt bad. They're like, well, this. I'm like, no. You didn't put me in and you didn't take me out. It's like, I'm the hands and feet. I was here to be used for this. There's no hard feelings from my part whatsoever. You're my boys. I'm in. Nothing's changed. It's like, but so many of us have an ego of like, oh, I'm in leadership and now I'm not in leadership. But because I'm driven by that label, I'm like, no, I'm hands and feet. Yeah, that's it. I'm used where I'm needed, period. And I will multiply where I'm put, period. Not for my glory, for his. Yeah. And because I've had that, right, it's allowed me to make decisions throughout my life, which a lot of people are making bad decisions based on their label. Yeah. Mine has been, the reason I didn't smoke or drink and cuss growing up was because of the label I felt like I had. I'm like, no, I'm the hands and feet of Christ. I can't do that. Like that would look bad. It was like before I really understood it, but I've been doing it so long now that I'm like, this makes sense. Because even through the divorce and stuff, people they lose their minds with stuff like that. I didn't. I had peace through the whole thing. And I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I did have a lot of that from her side. Because there was just a lot of hurt. There is, and so I got a lot of hateful texts and things like that from family and friends from her side. I never responded to any of them because of my label. I'm like, this is a crappy situation. I get that. Like, there's pain, there's hurt. I'm doing things wrong. She's doing things wrong. I get that. It's like, so I'm going to respond in a way that points as good as it can.
Right.
Like, for what's going on, for as bad as it is, I'll do the best I can to point to him as the hands and feet. And there's nothing like, you can't go back through my divorce, even with all of that going on, and say I didn't handle things properly. It was a crap situation. There's no good way through it. But I wasn't cussing and hollering and trying to screw her over and all of those things. I was like, nope, it's just, we're moving through, show grace. Like, let's go through what we have to go through and then move on. And because of that label is the reason that I was able to do that. It would have been very easy to just be mad and just respond, to follow the flesh and just respond. It's like, it's so much easier to do that. So those labels are definitely a big deal in the positive or negative. But once you figure out what they are, you can choose whichever ones you choose to hold on to.
Yes, you can. That is in Label Breaker. That's a few of the acts in Label Breaker we go through. Absolutely. And that, I think, for the season we're in right now and getting ready to walk in, that's so important, like you said, to have grace and to have love. And I mean, especially on Facebook, social media, it's easy to get on there, start arguing for the right side, or arguing this and arguing that, and that's not really being his hands and feet. To social media is hard. I mean, you can have a little bit of influence, but in person is where you have more influence, where people see your heart, where they see you actually being the hands and feet, and where you can talk, share a little more deeply. Like, social media is not really the place for that. At least that's my opinion. But so thank you for being our 100th episode. I think it was fantastic. I love the little spin that we did. That might be something we change it up a little bit for the next year. Instead of focusing on the other one first, we'll focus on the one that keeps us where we are. And I love that can keep us going through our whole life, and that it kept you going through your whole life, and what you are multiplying with him. I am honored and excited to be connected in what you're doing and part of your systems and your mission, and seeing what grows through this is very exciting. So thank you for all you do, for helping, keep Label Breakers going, and for your wisdom that you share into my life and our family. And I thank you for that, for being the hands and feet.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So guys, with that, I just want to remind you that we have coming up next month our next BU experience, and that will be April 30th through May 3rd. So contact me, or you can go to labelbreakers.com/events and find out more about that. If you want to be more and get more of the Label Breakers community, you can go to labelbreakers.com and join us there. So as you guys know, as we say every week, I love you high, deep, and wide, and Jesus loves you even more. So thank you, Aaron. Blessings. And it was awesome. It was awesome having you as the 100th guest.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.